All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're exploring a really fascinating claim, the idea that there's a hidden numerical code in the 16th chapter of the Quran, a code that links directly to the biology of a honeybee. Now, this might sound a little out there, so let's break it down and unlock this slide by slide.
So, this is the central question, the big mystery we're looking into today. What could possibly connect the genetics of a bee to an ancient text? We're going to walk through the evidence that our source material presents, step by step, to see just how deep this alleged connection really goes.
So, where do we even begin? Well, surprisingly, we're not starting with a book. We're actually starting with the bee itself. The entire argument really hinges on one specific biological fact.
To get this, we just need a quick biology refresher. What's a chromosome? Basically, you can think of it like a tiny package that holds a creature's DNA. It's the genetic blueprint for everything it is and everything it does. And the number of chromosomes is a really fundamental part of what makes a species, well, that species.
And here is the single most important fact for everything we're about to discuss. The male drone bee has exactly 16 chromosomes. So that number, 16, is the key. It's what supposedly unlocks this entire pattern. So remember that number, 16.
Okay, so we've got our number from biology, 16. Now let's make a jump. We're moving from the science lab over to the Quran to see how this all starts to connect.
And boom, right away, we get the first and most direct connection our source presents. The 16th chapter of the Quran is literally named the bee. So the chapter number, 16, matches the male bee's chromosome number, 16. It's an interesting coincidence, for sure. But the claim is that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
So if this goes deeper than just a chapter title, where do we look next? Well, the source material tells us to look at the very structure of the chapter. We're talking about the total number of verses and words.
First up, let's look at the verses. The total number of verses, or ayahs, in Surah Al-Nahl is 128. Now on its own, 128 might not seem that special, but what happens when you run the numbers?
Our source points out that this verse count is a direct multiple of our key number. 128 is exactly 16 multiplied by 8. So the pattern holds up.
Okay, so the verses line up. Let's go another level deeper. What about the total number of words in the entire chapter? According to the source, that number is 2,080.
And you might be guessing where this is going. Just like the verses, the total word count is also a perfect multiple of 16. 2080 is exactly 16 times 130. So far, we've got the chapter number, the verse count, and the word count all revolving around this number 16.
The analysis is about to get way more focused. We're zooming in from the whole chapter down to the single specific verse where the bee is actually mentioned. And that's verse number 68.
Here it is, the verse itself. It's a direct divine inspiration given to the bee. But according to the source, the numerical patterns get even more concentrated, right here in these specific words.
And this is where the claims get incredibly specific. Check this out. First, the verse itself contains exactly 16 words. Second, it's written using exactly 16 unique Arabic letters. And third, that opening phrase, "and your Lord inspired the bee," is made up of, you guessed it, 16 letters. It's like the number 16 is layered again and again, right inside this one verse.
So if you thought that was detailed, hang on, because the analysis goes one final step deeper. It's not just about the counts within the verse anymore. Now it's about the exact position of the key word, al-nahl, the bee, within the entire chapter. Okay, so let's walk through this. If you count every single word from the very beginning of chapter 16, right up to, but not including, the word al-mahal, you get 992 words. And once again, that number is presented as a perfect multiple of our key number, 16 times 62.
Now, what about the other side of the equation? If you count from the word al-nahl all the way to the very end of the chapter, you get 1,088 words. This too is a multiple of 16. But here's the part that's truly striking. 1,088 is 16 multiplied by 68. And what is 68? It's the exact first number where the bee is mentioned. That is a remarkable connection.
So let's just pull all of this together. We've seen these patterns in the chapter, the verses, the words, and even their specific locations. But our source presents one final piece to this puzzle before posing the ultimate question.
This summary table lays out everything we've just seen. But notice that new column, relation to 32. So why 32? Because the female bee has 16 pairs of chromosomes for a total of 32. And as the source points out, every single one of these counts, the verses, the words, their positions, is also a perfect multiple of 32, weaving the female bee's genetics into the very same pattern.
And so we end where our source material leaves us, with this one big question. Is this incredible accumulation of numerical patterns just a series of profound coincidences, or is it a sign of an intentional mathematical design? That's the question to ponder.